This has already happened to you. You were in a meeting. Someone said something that was wrong. Not opinion wrong. Not debatable. Structurally wrong. You felt it immediately. That tightening in the chest. That quiet know your body registers before your mouth ever does. And you didn't interrupt. You didn't correct it. You nodded. Maybe you even added something supportive. Not because you agreed, but because disagreeing had a cost you didn't feel like paying. That moment, that silence, is the exact psychological condition that creates Tyler Durden. Most people think men idolize Tyler because of the violence, the rebellion, the aesthetics. That explanation is comforting. It's also wrong. This video explains the actual psychological function Tyler Durden serves in modern men, and why once this mechanism activates, it doesn't shut off without consequences. What we're about to dissect isn't a movie character. It's a control failure, and it's already running in you. To understand Tyler, you have to understand silence. Not forced silence, rewarded silence. From the moment you enter school, you're trained to regulate yourself. Sit still. Raise your hand. Wait your turn. Follow instructions, even when you see a better way. The student who asks why isn't praised. He's labeled disruptive. That lesson repeats until it installs itself. At work, you're told you're valued for honesty and insight. Watch what actually gets rewarded. Not the person who says, "This strategy is flawed," but the person who says it carefully, without disturbing anyone, and then executes the flawed strategy anyway. This is where most people misunderstand conformity. You don't experience this as suppression. You experience it as professionalism. And if you miss this point, the rest of the video won't land. Fight Club showed this mechanism clearly. When people think you're dying, they finally listen. Notice the inversion. When you're alive, compliant, functional, they don't. You have to simulate crisis to receive attention that should have been automatic. Because when silence is rewarded long enough, the psyche doesn't break. It splits. Carl Jung called it the shadow. Not mystical, mechanical. Your psyche follows a conservation law. Every trait you consciously identify with, your agreeableness, your reasonableness, your reliability, creates equal and opposite pressure in the unconscious. The brighter the mask, the denser the shadow. This is the critical correction most analyses miss. The shadow doesn't just store bad traits, it stores disallowed ones. Aggression, assertiveness, the ability to say no, the capacity to disrupt. When those traits are buried too deeply, they don't disappear. They ferment. The narrator in Fight Club did everything right. He optimized. He complied. He bought the furniture. He attended support groups, not because he was sick, but because he needed to feel something. From that repression, Tyler emerges. Not as a separate man, as a personification. Everything the narrator amputated from himself to remain acceptable. Tyler said it plainly. The things you own end up owning you. Not just furniture, not just possessions. The mask you wear, the reputation you maintain, the version of yourself you've been performing. Those own you now. Men don't admire Tyler because he's violent. They admire him because he's unfiltered. But repression alone doesn't explain why Tyler feels necessary. For that, we need to talk about pain. In a world of simulations, pain is one of the few things that can't be faked. Your job is a representation of productivity. Your purchases are representations of identity. Your online presence is a representation of a life. None of it feels real. Jean Baudrillard called this the hyper-real, copies without originals. The narrator lives like he's watching himself from the outside. Then, Tyler hits him, and something undeniable happens. Not happiness, not fulfillment, presence. A fist to the jaw can't be reframed, can't be explained, can't be ignored. When Tyler pours lye on his hand and says, "This is your pain, stay with it," he isn't being sadistic. He's initiating. In a world that anesthetizes discomfort, pain becomes proof of existence. Without pain, without sacrifice, we would have nothing. Not philosophy, initiation, logic. The chemical burn isn't punishment. It's the price of entry into something real. And here's the escalation most people aren't ready for. The safer a society becomes, the more the unconscious craves danger. Total safety feels like suffocation to a survival-built psyche. Tyler offers danger in an age of padded edges. But every liberation movement has a shadow of its own, and this is where the fantasy collapses. Fight Club doesn't end with freedom. It ends with Project Mayhem. Names disappear. Uniforms appear. Individuality dissolves into purpose. One cage is replaced with another, just dressed better. In Fight Club, you choose to fight. In Project Mayhem, you're told who to hit. In Fight Club, you break your own furniture. In Project Mayhem, you break what Tyler designates. The freedom was a recruitment phase. This pattern is ancient. Sparta, Rome, post-war Germany, different eras, same structure. Initiation through hardship, violence as bonding, identity fused into group meaning. Tyler isn't the solution. He's the fever. A fever burns out infection, but if it runs too high, it kills the host. Here's the cost no one warns you about. Once you see the box, you can't pretend it isn't there. You notice how often you perform, how often you self-edit, how often you trade truth for stability. And some people will feel that shift, even if you never say a word. Relationships built on your compliance begin to crack, because they weren't loving you. They were loving the version of you that made everything smooth. Awareness has a price. Isolation is part of it. That's why most people choose the box. Not because they're weak, but because the system punishes defection. Tyler Durden isn't dangerous because he makes men violent. He's dangerous because he makes them aware. And awareness is the one thing that can't be domesticated. You can be controlled with rewards. You can be controlled with punishment. But once you see the control happening in real time, something changes. The point isn't to become Tyler. The point is to reclaim what you projected onto him. The ability to say no, to endure discomfort, to exist without props. Once that happens, Tyler disappears. What remains is quieter, clearer, more alone. This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time. The system doesn't fear your rebellion. It fears your refusal to perform.